Hey, what's happening, y'all? Welcome back to the Media Goose channel. It's your friend, the Media Goose Ryan, and the goose is loose, baby. First off, thank you to everybody who watched my last mock draft video. That got over 1.5 thousand views. That means a lot. A lot of my videos don't do that well, so thank you for checking out the video. I hope you've stuck around and are here for another edition of the Ryan and Ryan mock draft. Ryan is one of my good friends, and we love doing mock drafts. We talk so much about football and what we're hearing, the things we're doing. We send each other mock drafts all the time. Mock draft season is one of my favorite parts of the football calendar, so this was a lot of fun. There are a ton of trades in this one, some new ones, some familiar ones, and this is just a much more wild mock than my last one, I feel like. There are new people trading up, new players going earlier. There's a lot more movement on this board. And to everybody who commented on the last draft I did, thank you. I don't care if you don't like the picks. Let me know. I can take the criticism, so keep it coming. Let me know what you think of your team's individual mocks in the comments. I may defend myself, but I am open to being wrong. It's a mock draft. I'm not afraid to be mocked. I'm an actor. My entire career is making an ass of myself, so I'm not afraid. So, guys, I hope you enjoy this second edition of the Ryan and Ryan mock draft. We are possibly going to do a third, but with the draft getting closer, if it doesn't work out, this may be our final edition. But I can promise you that me and Ryan are going to be talking Giants football all through the NFL season. And I look forward to it because Ryan's football knowledge is top tier. So I hope you enjoy the mock. And again, comment down below. Let me know what you thought. The video just uploaded, and I saw that it only recorded my face. I'm not good with the technical side of things, clearly. My apologies, y'all. I did just download the Riverside app, so I'm hoping that helps things. I'm recording Zoom videos right now. The videos have been very as convenient as possible. I haven't put a lot into the setup yet. I've had some help, but I'm definitely going to try to improve the overall quality of the videos going onto the channel. I hope you'll bear with me because our football knowledge is clearly worth it. So, guys, enjoy the mock. All right, y'all. So I am here with the number 1 overall pick. Ryan, no, never mind. Ryan is doing the odds, so he will be picking for our New York Giants. I am going to do the evens. Ryan, not that the number 1 pick is very hard, but go right ahead and let me know who you'd like to take.
No, I'm going to give them Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, Indiana. At this point, it's foregone conclusion. Only way they trade out is if they get the Mother's Hall from the Jets or the Cleveland Browns. But at this point, I think Indiana QB Mendoza goes to the Raiders at number 1 overall.
Yeah, it's been one of the most foregone conclusion number 1 picks in a while. This is like Andrew Luck levels of, yeah, it's done. And I think the Jets are going to stay where they are. I don't see them moving from this pick. Now, how would you prefer to do this? Do you want to do what we think will happen or how we would do it?
Let's do it how we think we would do it, because I have a potential trade or two coming up with my upcoming selections that I could see happening.
Excellent. I think the pick would probably be David Bailey, but I'm going Arvell Reese. I feel like people are overthinking this at this point. Arvell Reese is like a freak of a player, and I get that he had a really limited sample size at the pass rushing position, but he was excellent when he did it. And I feel like if you give him a full training camp and then a preseason and regular season, I have faith he's going to catch on quickly and his athleticism is going to translate. And the fact that he could also just be a good linebacker and can like diversify the way you call your defense, I just think he's the obvious pick.
Yeah, I agree. I've been seeing Reese to the Jets here for numerous weeks at this point, and unless something changes in the next 6 days, I still think Reese goes number 2 here.
And Aaron Glenn talked a lot about wanting to be able to have like versatility on his defense in the way that he played guys, and Arvell Reese completely speaks to that. So, what do you think's going to happen for the Arizona Cardinals?
Ring, ring, ring. Hello. Oh, trading coming? You bet your sweet bibbity there's a trading coming. And I
What do
am
you
going
have?
to. I have the Washington Commanders making a trade with the Arizona Cardinals. I have the Washington giving up 107, their fifth round pick this year, and then a third round pick and a fifth round pick in the 2027 draft. And I'm going to
Does
give
that look
them.
correct compensation wise?
Yes, it does. And
Perfect.
with the third overall pick, I'm going to have the Washington Commanders shock the world per se and draft Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame. I
Yo,
think
I love it.
I have been seeing more and more rumors per se of Arizona or the New York Giants potentially taking Jeremiah Love, and I think Commanders have also been linked to him. But I think that if Washington wants to pair him with Jaden Daniels in that offense, that they have to trade up for him. I think that's what happens in potentially the NFL draft, or it happens here at least, to put a playmaker in that offense.
I love it. I think they definitely, if this is their guy, they're going to have to get in front of Tennessee because I really feel like Tennessee, if he's there, will do it. So I love the fact that you jumped them. That was awesome.
Yeah, I have been having a gut feeling, or at least hearing rumors around Twitter, Reddit, and all the different social media sites that it's like a hot commodity that Tennessee might go with him, especially since give Cam Ward another weapon, give Dayball, who is an offensive minded caller, or with when he was with Josh Allen, you give him another weapon to develop Cam Ward and hopefully let him develop a little more.
Yeah, I love the pick. I feel like Dable saw this work with Saquon and Jones. Like Saquon's presence drastically improved Daniel Jones because it took so much weight off of him. And now Jaden Daniels is a guy who he should run less and less every year. Be like Lamar, where it's done effectively and safe. Lamar doesn't get hit a lot. He's very smart, and I'd like to see the same out of Daniels. So having Jeremiah Love take some of that pressure from him, brilliant. And now the Tennessee Titans. I think that even though Love isn't there, they are thrilled that one of the edge rushers made it to them. I feel like if they have their choice of David Bailey or Arvell Reese, they'll take them. But if either are not there and Love is there, Love would be the pick. But for this, it is going to be David Bailey. I think him and Jermaine Johnson as the primary pass rushers for Tennessee adds just another guy that's going to come in and has the potential to be productive right away. So I feel like they're thrilled to come away with a starting pass rusher.
I like this pick. It gives their Robert Saleh beasts to kind of replicate but what he had with Bosa back in San Francisco. It gives them a much needed position of need. boost that defense up.
All right, what are you thinking for our New York Giants?
For the New York Football Giants, I'm just looking at the board here. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, take your time. It's an interesting spot to be in because I'm kind of relieved Love is off the board and Styles and Downs, everybody's still there really to add to this team. So you got a lot of options.
I am going to have another trade.
Ooh,
I'm going to have the New Orleans Saints trade up. I'm going to have them give the New Orleans Saints give up pick 108, pick 73, and then a a fourth round pick in 2027, and I'm going to
what
force
was
that
the I don't see pick
what
108.
108, 373, and then a 2027 fourth.
Oh, gotcha.
And then with the 105, I have the New Orleans Saints selecting Ruben Bain, edge, Miami, because Arizona traded down from 3 to 7. It puts them right ahead of New Orleans if they want to. I mean, it would put them right behind New Orleans if Arizona wanted to go Ruben Bain if he fell that far. And I believe that the Saints would want to go with another edge rusher to pair with either Cam Jordan or potentially replace him. But I think they give up a day 2 pick and a day 3 pick next year to trade up and select the heir apparent to Jordan and bolster that defense because I think it's too early for Kenyon Sadiq, and Jawan Johnson looked decent this past year. I could maybe see the Giants thing put in going with Styles or Downs or even Maui Noah at the right tackle or guard position, but Giants are able to recoup the day 3 pick that they traded away last year for Dart, and also pick up an early day 3 pick for next year as well.
I love it. I think that it makes a lot of sense for the Saints to decide to move up there, like you said. I think that the Cardinals could decide to pull the trigger on Bain there. I love Ruben Bain. I think that the whole arm length thing, I don't care. I get it. It's like a lot of the scouts are saying it's an anomaly. When somebody is so far outside of the norm, you do have to analyze if it's going to make a difference. I just think Ruben Bain's a dog. He is a guy. I have loved mocking him to the Chiefs because we as Giants fans know what Steve Spagnuolo can do with a pass rusher like that. But I really love the Saints going, no, we're moving up and getting our guy.
Yeah, I know. I've seen a lot of the Chiefs trading up, which I know you did in one of your most recent mock drafts. Which, if you haven't, please go check it out. It's an amazing video. But I decided to shake it up here and go with the Saints trading up instead of the Chiefs to kind of get some fresh air and give the Saints some needed pass rush assistance.
I love it.
Now
I
you
might
have the
do something
Cleveland Browns.
crazy here. You've made multiple trades, and I'm normally the crazy one. I feel like I can't let you stand me up. I am going to have the Dallas Cowboys trade up.
Ooh, I was gonna say I know I've seen a lot of buzz in the past few days where Cowboys would want to trade up potentially.
I think that with Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles both there, it's been rumored the Cowboys are in love with a target of the Giants. So they feel like they have to get ahead of the Giants if they want to get their guy. And since the Giants moved back, it makes it a little easier for them, honestly. So the Browns and the Cowboys, how do we do it? Since from 12 to 6, I don't know that they have to give up 20. I think that would almost
be overkill at that point.
Right. So I'm gonna do 392. What do you think? A second or a third next year to balance it out?
I think I think a third rounder, give the 2027 third.
Yeah, I agree. I like this. Jerry Jones, I think in his old age, he's going to start getting desperate to get another ring on those fingers, those old billionaire fingers. And they have moved up to take a guy that is going to be put directly in the heart of their defense. They are going to select Sonny Styles,
That's who I
linebacker.
thought. I was gonna say that's who I thought you were gonna go with when you had them trade up.
I think it's nobody's confirmed it's Styles that they've fallen in love with, but I feel like it has to be. Like, I feel like Sonny Styles has really shifted to the favorite for the Giants ahead of Caleb Downs. So I feel like if they're going to be aggressive, it's to get the guy that they think the Giants really love. And in this case, that's Sonny Styles. And the Cowboys now get, I feel like the Cowboys having like iconic middle linebackers like Sean Lee back in the day. It just makes sense. And I feel like this is a great piece to add to the middle of their defense that's going to help them against the run. And his athleticism is just crazy. I feel like he's going to be an instant impact kind of guy.
And it's a perfect Micah Parsons replacement as well.
Yeah. Do you want to pick for the Giants? I can pick for the Cardinals here if you want.
Yeah, I'll let you pick 6 and 7, and I'll go 8, 9. Then we'll resume our normal even odds.
Perfect. So now the Arizona Cardinals traded back. They're thrilled that the Giants also traded back because there's been a lot of rumors about Francis Mauigoa and the fact that people close to John Harbaugh think he could lean into completing that offensive line as early as possible. So I think where they are, they get Francis Mauigoa and they take him before the Giants can get him. So what do you
That's
think the G-men have in store?
I was gonna say that's who I was gonna give them the Arizona Cardinals at 7, and I was gonna say it's kind of the board fell perfectly for them because not only did they trade back, get a few picks back from Washington, but they also still fill a big need with Maui Noah at 7, which you could argue is a perfect round of perfect time to select him.
Yeah, dropping him in basically completes their offensive line now. Him opposite of Parrish Johnson. That is good for whoever is running behind the offensive line. I think with the offense they're going to bring in with that Rams style, it makes sense for them to have a strong offensive line where they'll have a rotation of backs being productive behind it. So that's a great pick for them. And now our Giants who moved back, what do you have in store for them?
Ooh, I really not sure what to do here because I have a potential trade in mind.
Another one.
Yeah, I'm just checking the big board here because there's like I want to see who's.
No wide
Hmm.
receivers have gone. Mansour Delane is on the board. Spencer Fano might be the next best offensive lineman. Caleb Downs.
I'm going to actually stay put, and I'm going to have the New York Giants select Caleb Downs,
Mm,
safety, Ohio State. The trade I was considering was having Miami potentially trade ahead of both Cincinnati and more so Kansas City to get their choice of either Mansour Delane or Cornell Tate. But I feel like the Giants just see too much value in what's Caleb Downs, especially with Harbaugh, who he had Kyle Hamilton, he had what's his name, the safety from Baltimore. Like I feel like he values safeties and like the hard hitting guys too much to trade back a second time when when Downs is still available at 8, even after trading back once and getting those extra picks. So I'm gonna have the New York Giants go with Caleb Downs here, and then I get to pick the Kansas City Chiefs here, and they're feeling miffed in my opinion the because Downs just went, Noah just went, and I feel like they're the guys they wanted are gone, but they're going to pick their Trent McDuffie replacement with Mansour Delane, cornerback LSU, get to replace McDuffie, as I said, and add a valuable piece to Steve Spagnuolo's defense, and in my opinion, the top cornerback on the board. And if it wasn't for the corner Gerard McCoy's injury and him missing off 25, I feel like it would have been an even greater debate between the two.
Definitely agree there. That's the pick I would have made for them. I feel like it just makes sense. They need the help on the outside now. I've heard the argument that they have a history of drafting guys outside of the first round successfully, but they took McDuffie and then they got a first for him. So they've taken first round corners before as well. So I also just love Mansour Delane. If the Giants took him, I wouldn't be upset, but I love Caleb Downs, so I'm thrilled about that one.
And now
Now,
we go back to even odds with you going with even starting with the Cincinnati Bengals.
the Bengals are on the board. I think they would have loved if Sonny Styles made it to here. That's probably their ideal player, but unfortunately, Jerry Jones got too aggressive. I think the Bengals. I really want to help the defense. So, a player I've heard this early, I'm not going to take him, but I have heard people say this is as early as Dylan Thieneman could go. And Dylan Thieneman's a really interesting prospect because at Oregon, he played a very similar role to Caleb Downs, like kind of like a box safety. But the year before that, he was very much the traditional free safety. So he has it in his bag to do either. But I kind of feel like if you can do either, I don't know which you can do. So I'm not going to take him this early. I am going to go ahead and take Jermod McCoy. I think he is, since he's healthy again, I think you see him moving up boards a lot. And I think he's a player, like we've said before, if he had a healthy season, it would have been neck and neck between these guys. And look, they went back to back anyway. So two really good corners. And now we get to Miami. The guys from Green Bay go down to Miami. Who do you have them starting the rebuild with?
One second, I'm just evaluating something real quick.
Wide receivers are falling.
I'm going to have. I'm looking at something real quick.
Because Cleveland is sitting there at 12, and they might take a receiver, so somebody might want to get ahead of them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is I feel like I'm going to have a trade come in. I'm going to have the Ravens call up and propose I'm going to have Miami trade 111 to the Baltimore Ravens for pick 114, pick 4.115, and then a 2027 fifth round pick. And then with the 11th overall pick, the Baltimore Ravens are going to select Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. In my opinion, it's kind of the Ravens are screwing over the Browns by trading ahead of them for the top receiver. But I believe that Baltimore needs a true number one or number two beside what's his name? Not
Zay Flowers.
yeah, Dave Flowers. Bateman just hasn't lived up to where he was drafted a few years ago. And I feel like if Baltimore rarely gets like this high in the draft to begin with, so they might as well trade 2 day 3 picks to tread ahead of their division rival and take what a lot of people perceive to be the top receiver on the board in Cornell Tate.
I love that. I think it's funny for in-division rivals to do that kind of thing to each other. Dallas and Philly did it to us a few years ago
Oh
with
yeah, don't even get me started on that.
I
God.
feel like Carnell Tate, while he's not my favorite receiver, I think he has the safest floor. Like his worst case scenario is like Anquan Bolden, where he may not be a huge play threat, he might not be flashy, but he's a possession guy. He's reliable hands, good route runner, big body, good target. I feel like he's got a very high floor as a prospect. And now the Cleveland Browns.
They're feeling miffed because they feel like Tate would have been their go-to, one of their top options.
And because of that, I'm not going to go wide receiver. I don't see them taking Tyson. I haven't seen them connected to him at all. It's really only ever been Tate. And for the Cleveland Browns, I think they've fallen in love with the player from everything I've seen and heard. And it's been questioned whether he's worth the number 6 overall pick, but he's definitely worth number 12 and a player that they might be. I think the Rams could have taken him as well if he made it to them, but he does not. I have the Cleveland Browns selecting their left tackle of the future, Monroe Freeling. I feel like the fact that he's a true left tackle will really attract them to him. He has crazy untapped potential, like athletically. He's a freak. And even though he doesn't have a ton of playing time, I think they're going to bet on all of the upside that he has paying off. And the fact that he has a veteran offensive line that he's joining, it's not like they did a lot in free agency. And I respect that because I didn't know if they were going to do that. So bringing in Monroe Freeling, he's got a lot of veterans that he can learn from on that Cleveland offensive line.
Very nice pick. I have been, as you said, I've been seeing Freeling to Cleveland even at 6 for a long time, even in podcasts I've listened to, on sites I read. So I feel like it's a value that they were able to trade back and still get him at number 12. Now, the LA Rams are here at number 13, and they're probably pissed because they would have considered Freeling, as you said. But I am going to have the LA Rams select Makai Lemon, wide receiver USC. And I believe, yeah, I was going to say, who knows much longer Devontae Adams is going to play, and who knows with everything that's going on with Puka, what's going to happen with everything that's gone on this offseason. So might as well give them another wide receiver to go along there because, as we saw last year with Tampa, you can never have enough wide receivers on the roster when they selected the receiver from Ohio State last year, and then Mike Evans and
Ibuka,
yeah, Buka, and then Godwin and Evans went down, and suddenly he's thrusted into the number 1 spot. Now they're not as Puka's not as old as those two, Evans and Godwin, but I still think it's a good fit to potentially replace Adams if he doesn't come back, or even if he has split time for a year in that McVay offense. I feel like it's a really value pick there, and it helps their offense for Stafford to continue chugging along after his MVP season.
Yeah, I love that pick. I've seen a lot of people kind of clowning Puka Nacua, and I'll just say I hope he gets the help he needs. I know he's in rehab now, and I respect him for that. I went to rehab myself for alcohol problems in my early 20s. And all of these guys get thrust into the NFL fame as kids. I know they're men, they're like 21, 22, that's an adult. But in my opinion, you're not really an adult until like you're 25, 26. Closer to 30 is when you've had life experience. I just wish the best for him, and I hope he gets some good mentors around him to get him on the right path. But Makai Lemon, they would use him fantastically in that offense. The way they could use, if all three of those guys are healthy, Puka, Devontae, and then Makai Lemon, that offense would be even more fun than already is. So that's a great pick. And now the Miami Dolphins, who moved back, I am going to take Spencer Fano. I think.
Ooh, spicy, but I like it.
I feel like people projecting corner and wide receiver to them, the head coach and the GM came from Green Bay. They just took Golden last year for the first time in like 20 years, and it didn't go very well. I don't really see them going down to Miami and taking a skill player as their first pick. So I have them going to the offensive line. Something Green Bay prioritized every year was versatile offensive linemen. They move their guys around depending on who the best five can be. And I think Spencer Fano is the best guy in this class if that's the thing you're looking for. So the fact that they moved back, I think the Rams also could have considered it. We said how they also would have liked Freeling, so wide receiver and tackle. But I like the idea of Miami fortifying the offensive line first because it's likely to be a run-heavy offense with Malik Willis and Devon Achane. So makes sense to me.
I concur. And now we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting at number 15. I can see one of three routes here. I'm going to give them. Ooh, this one's a tough one. I'm going to have them go with Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, Ohio State. No, Arizona State. Sorry, Jordan Tyson, wide.
I love it.
I was gonna say, my other two picks I was considering was Kenyon Sadiq and Dylan Thieneman, but with Mike Evans leaving, who knows where Godwin's going to be this upcoming season in terms of health. I know Tyson has his fair share of like soft tissue related injuries, so that's why he's kind of falling, in my opinion. I feel like his talent wise, he's up there with probably could be arguably number one in terms of overall wide receiver rankings, but injuries push him down to the mid to late teens here, and it's a steal for. I don't want to say a steal, but it's a good value pick for Tampa to give them more weapons for Baker Mayfield.
I love that pick. That is, like you say, that is spicy. I love it because I feel like people would think of it as like a luxury going back to back wide receivers. But I think it was the Panthers GM who recently said somebody asked him, like, would you take a wide receiver 3 years in a row in the first round? He was like, I don't think there are any rules against that. So maybe. And there's no going it back to back for Tampa either. I think it's a great fit. I feel like Godwin, Tyson, and Ibuka, that can be solid. I like that a lot. And I think not enough people consider just best player available. And if you think Tyson is going to be healthy, getting him at 15 is definitely a great value. And I think
in that college football playoff run a season or two ago, we had Scadaboo and Tyson. I've watched some tape and he looked special when he was healthy. So as long as they could get him healthy and try kind of perform maintenance and maintaining it, it's all the better for them. And they have like a three-headed monster attack on the receiving game there to take the pressure off Mayfield.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like I love the pick because I love Jordan Tyson. Like you said, I feel like when I look at the top receivers, the person who I think looks the most and plays the most like what you see succeed in the NFL, I think it is Jordan Tyson, a guy that has a bigger body, but is still really athletic. You can move him all around the formation. And I really love that pick. It's
And look at the
Baker would
Cincinnati
love it.
model with Chase and Higgins. It works. It's just their defense and sometimes their line lets them down. But when it's successful, oh boy, do they ever be up to it.
I love it. I love the pick, and
And the Jets are probably mad.
The Jets are definitely upset because a lot of people have had Omar Cooper go here. I'm not going to have him go here this time just because I don't know. I feel like, do I have a valid reason or am I just trying to be different? Never mind. I am going to go with Omar Cooper Jr. just because I feel like the run on wide receivers is happening. They don't want to miss out. I was going to say, well, they might be able to get a guy at 33, but I do think there's a fall off after Cooper is wide receiver 4, maybe 3. I might have Mekhi Lemon as wide receiver 4. I'm kind of afraid of him translating to the NFL, but yeah, they're not going to risk it. I think that Geno Smith needs some options besides just Garrett Wilson. Omar Cooper brings in a great playmaker who I think has a lot of great run after catch ability, and I think will really help out Geno and then whoever's going to be there in the future, the person they're probably going to draft next year.
Interesting. Yeah, I was going to say I would have considered going with Dylan Thieneman here to kind of give them more of the back end defense. But as you said, wide receiver is still a need, and why risk waiting to 33 when there might not be any good receivers available there? So Detroit Lions, they are absolutely thrilled here, and they are going to be running to the board and picking Olivega Ione, the guard from Penn State. I know I butchered his name, but I've seen Ione go as early as like 10, 11, 12 to the Bengals, Dolphins, Cowboys, and I know Detroit needs help addressing that offensive line. I think they could have gone with Proctor here, but I think they could evaluate that more in this like second round or even day 3 as needed and go with the top interior offensive lineman and boost that up for the run game with Jameer Gibbs now that he's going to become the workhorse of that backfield.
Yeah, and he is the ultimate Dan Campbell guy. Like he feels like a Detroit Lion just with how big and physical he is. And I know some people think Caden Proctor, but I agree. If Vega makes it there, he'll be the pick just because of I feel like if I had to rank guards, and there's a lot of guys who are being drafted, CC Mawanoa. I've seen people using his nickname CC. It's a cool nickname. So Fano, a lot of these guys are being drafted to maybe be guards. And if you're just going to get played at guard anyway, Vega's the guy I would take before I took anybody. Maybe Mawanoa, but I honestly feel like Vega is less likely to be a bust than Mawanoa. Because Mawanoa, he's had some back issues, and that scares me for an offensive lineman. So I still like the pick a lot. No, I love the pick. I was talking about Mawanoa, but he's going to be fine. So now we have the Minnesota Vikings. I had some upset Vikings fans tell me Dylan Thieneman isn't a fit for them. And I just don't see how that's the case. I think they need safety. Harrison Smith is cut. They might bring him back on like a more team-friendly cap hit. But I just don't understand. What do they have? Like Josh Metellus, I think? And I really feel like Thieneman, this is the ideal range for his value. But to be a little different. This is it. Trade.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Brian Flores is getting an elite pass rusher on the defensive line from the New York Giants.
Oh boy. Here we go.
I can't wait for Vikings fans to roast me. It's what I live for. They are going to get pick 18, and I'll say pick 82 because I'm seeing people like talk about whether or not he's going to get the best of his potential value. I
So
won't take
pick
a first and a second.
so pick 18 and pick 82 you're projecting
Yes,
for
I
Dexter
am.
Lawrence. Ooh, spicy.
I feel like I just feel like Flores, that defense, they're probably going to trade Grenard at some point, maybe during this draft. I don't know that I don't know what his value is, honestly, so I don't know what he would go for. But Dexter has really apparently put his foot on the ground that he doesn't want to play for the Giants. He's claiming it's not a money thing. It is I'm not staying.
Oh
Um,
my
and then the
god.
Giants did leak out some stuff about him. It seems like we're seeing a negotiation in the public where things leak from one side and then things leak from another side. So I think they get him out of there. They send him to Minnesota. And I feel like in the NFC North, which is such a physical division, adding to your trenches is always a good thing. The Giants trade up. Well, they don't trade up, they get 18. And now they had taken Caleb Downs, and they are going to take KC Concepcion. I think that people have really pinpointed the drops with him to kind of lower his value, but I keep seeing him go high in like the expert mock drafts. This is his range, and the run on wide receivers is happening. I don't think I would take Emmanuel Pregnon at this point. I also don't want to take Caden Proctor to move him inside. I I don't know. I don't want to take a guy to move him to a different position. I'll just take a guy that I think comes in right away and complements Malik Neighbors. I think that that's two really dynamic receivers. And I feel like Jackson Dart is dancing somewhere. He is thrilled. What do you
Funny.
think?
As a fan of Lawrence, I hate to see him go, but I could see us also potentially getting a day 2 or day 3 pick next year in addition to what you had him go with. But I like getting the right wide receiver here before they like truly drop off. So now we have the Carolina Panthers at number 19, and they are going to run to the board and select Kenyon Sadiq, tight end, Oregon. I believe that they need an upgrade at tight end because last year they went with. I can't believe I'm blanking on all these names right now.
Okay. What was it, like Jatavion Sanders?
No. The wide receiver, Tedero McMillan, they selected
Oh,
last year in
yeah.
the first round, and I could see them potentially going wide receiver, but I think at this point it's too much of a reach with Concepcion going. So they get the next best option for Bryce Young and bringing in the top tight end in the draft. Now I've seen a lot of analysts saying, "Oh, he's not that good of a tight end. Oh, it's closer than people think." Like, okay, what are we trying to lower his value here? Like, what's going on here? So I think that Sadiq is still the top tight end in this draft, and I think it's a good value for Carolina to bring him in and help Bryce Young develop into what is essentially a contract year at this point.
Yeah, I love that pick. I think that's the pick I made in my last mock for them. I think they've already mentioned how they would be willing to take wide receiver. And like you said, the value isn't there right now. So they still get a pass catcher. And he's a crazy athlete, like a rare tester in terms of his athleticism. And I feel like it just adds an extra dynamic ripple to that offense in a really exciting way. So we have the Dallas Cowboys up. They took Sonny Styles, and they're thrilled. They're going to take Dylan Thieneman here. I think they would have considered Caleb Downs. I've seen they need help on like every level of their defense. So the way I said that Thieneman can play either safety position, I think didn't they sign somebody from like Arizona? I think they might have signed a starter from Arizona, but I think Thieneman has potential to play nickel, free safety, strong safety. He can move around the formation. So I think they're excited to come away with Sonny Styles and Thieneman, two crazy athletes to have running around that defense now.
Nice, nice. I think that's a good pick for them, and it'll make it harder for the opposing East offenses, which include the New York Giants. So we have the. I'm just looking at my board here real quick. We have Pittsburgh up, and I'm going to have the Pittsburgh Steelers go with Emmanuel McNeil Warren, safety from Toledo. I think they could also consider going with Caden Proctor here because of the potential concern with Broderick Jones kicking over from the right side and then the injury I think he had this past year. So while I do think that the concern, especially with their uncertainty at quarterback, maybe developing the offense a little more for whoever that quarterback, not only this year but in future years, if they decide to go that route in the next year's draft. I think adding to that aging defense is probably the best route, in my opinion, when it's not Edge, when they have the Watt brother there currently.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I feel like it's a pick I've started to see more of in mocks. He's a great strong safety. I feel like hard hitter and feels like he would fit in with the Pittsburgh Steelers identity. Now we have the Los Angeles Chargers. In my last mock, I had them trading for Dexter Lawrence. So I am going to have them. Their top needs are defensive line and edge. So I am looking at both of those edge rushers, Messador and Falk, but I really like Peter Woods, man. I feel like I've talked before in a lot of my mocks about how my friend Cody brought it up first. Today's opening night for his musical Shrek, where he's playing Shrek. Break a leg, my friend. I know you're going to do great. And he brought up the fact that Harbaugh loved having versatile defensive linemen, guys that are just nasty maulers. And I like Peter Woods a lot. I think going to a team like the Chargers that has a really talented front already, I feel like there's a lot of guys he can learn from. I mean, Khalil Mack's there. He's got to be like a fountain of knowledge. So I think that's a really good landing spot for him to get the most out of his potential upside.
Nice, nice. I like that pick. I think it helps the Harbaugh, not our Harbaugh, but the other Harbaugh, address the defense more. And the Philadelphia Eagles, boy oh boy. I know in your recent mock draft that there was a comment claiming you for taking an offensive tackle here early, and I am not going to take Caden Proctor, but instead I'm going to take Blake Miller from Clemson. Now, I can understand why somebody might say that, but in my opinion, it's you have Lane Johnson on the right side who's getting up there in age and potentially retiring in the next year or two. And even if he leaves, like gets injured or reduces his snaps this upcoming season, I feel like Blake Miller can still develop behind him. And the Eagles are well known for developing their offensive tackles. Now, their guy, I think, left this offseason or last offseason, so it might be harder, but learning from what has been a consistently top 5 or top 10 offensive line unit would make perfect sense for Blake Miller to just not have to play immediately, but just learn a little bit and then eventually go in on that right side for Lane Johnson.
Yeah, I love that pick. I feel like teams that have sustained success at the offensive line do things like this. They take offensive linemen in the first round, even when there are other potential holes on the roster. I feel like in this range of the draft, not every player is going to be an instant starter, and especially not in a draft like this, where it kind of already feels like we're taking second round talent here. And it has since like 15 ish. There's a steep fall off with this class. So I feel like positional value is such a massive thing to consider. And like you said, whether he plays or not this year, for one, Lane Johnson, I think, has had injury concerns in the last few years. So, and also, who's the left tackle there?
I,
Um,
I, I know I looked him up when I was Eagles left tackle.
it's okay.
Jordan Mailata.
Yes, I don't know, like offensive linemen are also just retiring younger. So I feel like it's smart to fortify the offensive line, especially when you consider how run dominant they are. This is a team that relies on the run, whether it's from Barkley or Hurts. So, as much as Eagle fans might not like it, committing to the trenches is kind of what's won them championships. So, I agree
Mm-hmm.
with the pick for sure. We have the Cleveland Browns, who moved back with Dallas and ended up with Monroe Freeling, and they are back on the board again at pick 24. Now,
I'm sure they're kicking themselves because they could have gone with wide receiver and gone with Proctor or Lomu here instead, but bygones be bygones.
I'm still going to take a wide receiver because I like Denzel Boston quite a bit. I feel like he's a kind of typical outside receiver, big guy, and I feel like he's different than the receivers they have there. He's really steady. He kind of reminds me of Rome Odunze. I know they're from the same school, but I just think he's going to be a steady, productive player. He might not be like a 1,500-yard guy. He might not be Josh Gordon, but I think he's somebody that raises the floor of your offense because having him as a set outside guy also gives you the freedom to move Jerry Jeudy wherever you want in the offense, whether he's another outside guy, whether he gets in the slot, gives you a little bit more versatility with the rest of your wide receiver room, having him as such a dependable guy on the outside.
Nice. And I think that's a good pickup to fortify whoever the quarterback's going to be, whether it's Shador or Watson or whoever it's going to be in the 2027 draft. Continue to boost that offense up. And we have the Chicago Bears, and I'm going to have them selecting Caden Proctor, offensive tackle, Alabama. And I think they could have gone Kedrick Falk here as well, in my opinion, but I think that they want to upgrade that left side and help protect Caleb some more because they were so close to making the NFC Championship game against Seattle, but the Rams front was like kind of outmaneuvering them. I think they take that key step to protecting Caleb's blind side by taking Proctor here at 25.
Totally agree with the pick. I feel like Ben Johnson, coming from Detroit, knows the importance of a reliable offensive line to be able to do the things he wants to do on offense. I feel like Caleb has all of the talent in the world. He has like, I'm not saying he's a top 5 quarterback, but in terms of arm talent, pure, put it in a window that nobody else can. He's arguably already a top 5 guy in there with like Allen, Mahomes, Lamar.
Yeah, especially with that playoff throw against the Rams where he back foot throw instead of like end zone.
Man, I love Caleb Williams. I think people were quick to jump off the bandwagon when he didn't have an elite rookie year, but that having it like a great rookie season is an outlier. Like quarterbacks, I feel like we're getting to a point in the NFL draft now where guys are coming in with a higher floor. And I don't know if that's a lot of the pro offense has started to take from the college game to make things easier for their quarterbacks, where it used to be the opposite, but it's kind of the other way now. So college guys come in, and it's more likely an offensive coordinator suits to them rather than forcing their system. So because he didn't have that immediate productivity, some people got cold feet, but I would still take him above any of the quarterbacks in his class. I still think he's going to get a Super Bowl for the Chicago Bears. I would argue maybe in the next 3 to 5 years. If I had to bet who are like the top contenders in the NFC, I think they're going to become like a Buffalo Bills like team that is consistently at the top of the conference.
I agree. I agree. They've really ascended from where they were with Matt Nagy and what's Mitch Trubisky with the double doink.
Mitch Trubisky, good Lord. He's basically like Ty Simpson, where it's like, really, we're taking a guy with one season this high. And I mean, Trubisky played at Duke, didn't he?
No,
Or no,
UNC.
he wasn't Duke.
UNC.
UNC?
Yeah,
Right, the
UNC.
rival. I'm thinking college basketball. But now we're up to the Buffalo Bills. Also, I want to mention the Bears, the Bills. I chose the Vikings today, the Texans, the Niners. All of these teams are teams I think will be in talks to get Dexter Lawrence. So any of these picks, I've had so many mocks and I'm doing a lot of different things, but this is the range of teams that could be like, I don't care how much I have to pay him for 1 or 2 years. This is our Super Bowl window. We're attacking it now. I kind of like the Vikings doing it because they're not paying a lot at quarterback right now. They have the benefit of JJ McCarthy's rookie deal and Kyler on the minimum. So paying a defensive lineman that much is a little bit more doable. But sorry to do that tangent. Back to the Buffalo Bills. I feel like I am going to add to their defense here. They're looking at the 2 pass rushers most of all. I am going to go purely preference here. Actually, my preference is Falk, but I kind of like Messidor here. I like Messidor because they're kind of like opposite prospects. One is really old, one is younger. One has more pass rush moves right now and is ready to go. But Falk is 6'6", 275, athletic as all hell. Kind of reminds me of like JPP a little bit, that kind of mold. I'm going to go with Akeem Messidor, betting on the idea that the Bills want to go with a more sure thing, more immediate production, and they go with Messidor.
Very nice pick. Very nice pick. I was going to have the 49ers go with Messidor had he fallen to 27, but instead I'm going to have the 49ers go with Kedrick Falk, edge from Auburn. For me, it's between Falk and Lomu to replace Trent Williams on the left side there, but I think there's a deeper talent pool at the tackle position that 49ers can address on day 2. And they go with the more impact player in Falk to help bolster that front line of their defense especially with Bosa and the other injuries that they're facing.
Yeah, I love that pick. I feel like both of those pass rushers ended up at the place that more fits their play style. I feel like the Niners often like to have those big athletic guys like Eric Armstead, those versatile guys. So I like Falk there a lot, and I think that's another guy landing in a spot that is ideal for him to develop to his highest potential. And now the Houston Texans are up. We haven't had a trade in a while, but I don't really know that I see anybody on the board I want to move up for. I don't think I'm going to be the Ryan that projects Ty Simpson in the first round today, so I'm going to leave that to you if you decide to do it. But for the Texans, I still look at Caden McDonald as a real option to shore up the middle of that defense. Great run stopper. But offensive line is also still a pretty glaring need. Also, tight end is a need. Could this be as early as Stowers would go? I don't like Stowers here, but having talked about the range of this talent pool in this draft, maybe this is where the guys who were graded lower start to go because some teams are just going to have preferences. I am going to select Caden McDonald. It might be boring, but boring is sometimes the things you need when you're close to a championship window. And looking at where they're picking, it's funny how this was like a down year for the Texans, but weren't they still in the second round of the
Divisional
playoffs?
round. Yeah,
Yeah,
divisional
so
round.
I also just have to believe CJ Stroud is going to be CJ Stroud again. I don't really understand what's happened there, and I don't know enough about schemes and things like that to be able to tell you, but I still see a really talented quarterback there. So I have hope that the Texans, there's to me, they are a team that is in a championship window. It's just every year it's kind of like who doesn't get hurt the most. How do the Niners not have a Super Bowl in the last 8 years? Because every year there are little things that determine a season, and the Texans are one of those things where if things break their way, they have the talent to get there. They have two top five pass rushers. That's insane.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is the first pick where I actually disagree with you. I think it's still a position of need, but I would have gone with offensive tackle for Texans just to because Laramie Tunsil left last season. We saw how much they regressed. So I still think it's a good pick, but I disagree with you nonetheless. So
What
now
are you thinking for the Chiefs?
they went with the cornerback Mansour Delane, I think, with their last pick one. Let me.
Correct.
So now I'm going to give them T.J. Parker, edge from Clemson. Pair him up with the Purdue. What's his name? The other edge
Karlaftis.
rusher. Loftus from Purdue, and pair him up. Those two up and create an even more dangerous front four there. And I'm sure they were hoping that maybe McDonald would have fallen to them, or like one of the right tackles maybe fell a little more. But they go with best player available at the position of need with T.J. Parker.
Yeah, I like I'm not gonna lie, I actually haven't seen a ton of Parker, but from what I hear, he's a good player and this is his range. Um I feel like doubling down on defense is smart, and giving Spags another pass rusher is always a good option because he's another one of those defensive minds where guys are more likely to hit when they're entering his system than not. So I like the pick a lot in terms of value. Then we have the Miami Dolphins, who selected Spencer Fano after trading back with the Ravens. I am going to give them. Avion Terrell was very slow, so people think he's falling. So I'm going to go Colton Hood. I like Colton Hood a lot. I think he's a first round talent, and they definitely need cornerback help. So I think he is a player that comes in. Chris Johnson is also moving up a lot. I hear a lot about him as a first round talent, but I still like Colton Hood a little bit more.
Nice, nice. I think that's a good pick, and it helps bolster their defense. And now we have the New England Patriots. And I'm going to do what you predicted. We are going to have a trade. I'm going to have the proposed trade. I'm going to have the Arizona Cardinals move up with the New England Patriots. And I'm going to have them. Hold on, I'm just trying to get this thing out of my
You're
way.
good. No worries.
Uh, what does that say? So I'm going to have the Arizona Cardinals move up. New England trades away 1.31, and Arizona trades pick 2.34, pick 5.143, and then their own fifth round pick in the 2027 draft, and then force that trade. And then I'm going to have the Arizona Cardinals select Ty Simpson, quarterback from Bama. I think in my opinion, only reason why I see the Cardinals doing this is to get the 50-year option, but also to jump ahead of the New York Jets who pick at 33, and to jump them for the quarterback and let him develop for the extra years. And New England gets a few extra a few day 3 picks that they could use to develop in. I don't think there was anyone truly on their board. They were screaming like, "Oh my God, let's get him!" Like the good win for them.
I like that a lot. I feel like this is one of the ideal landing spots. Today it came out that apparently Jacoby Brissett is holding out because he wants to be paid like a starter.
As he
Brother,
should be.
my friend, I don't. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I watched Jacoby Brissett last year, but it's Jacoby Brissett. I Gardner Minshew signed, and the GM also wouldn't commit to um, Jacoby as the starter. He said, "We'll see how things play out." And bringing another quarterback in the room takes even more leverage away from Jacoby Brissett from saying, "Give me starter money." They'll go, "We got 2 guys who can start if we need. We're not going to give you more money. You can come in and compete, but I don't know that they're going to be comfortable giving him more money." But um, this is LaFleur, that one of the LaFleurs, wasn't it, or
I think
somebody
so.
from
Yeah, from the
the
Rams.
right. So I feel like that's a system that I would want to go to if I were a quarterback because it is so QB friendly. So, and he gets to sit, and that's the best case scenario. So now we have the Seattle Seahawks. I have gone Jadarian Price previously, but I am not going to do that today. I am going to go with. I don't care that he ran slow. I'm going to go Avion Terrell. I feel like he's an instinctual player. I don't know that his game is defined by his breakaway speed, so I don't really care that he didn't run a good 40. He was
I
getting
like
mocked
that
as
pick.
high as like 16 recently, and then you run a 40 and you're getting out of the first round. Seattle's a Super Bowl level team with a Super Bowl level defensive mind at head coach, so they don't care about measurables. They just take guys, and I think Avion Terrell is going to be a guy.
I like that pick. It's a good value for them, in my opinion. And so now we have the New York Jets, who went with Arvell Reese and Amar Cooper Jr. in the first round. So with this pick, I'm going to have them go with Cassius Howell, edge from Texas A&M. I think that they continue to bolster that defense up and get another pass rusher to put alongside Jermaine Johnson. I think Jermaine Johnson went to the Jets. Or no, there's a high value name pass rusher for the. No, he.
Will McDonald.
Yeah, thank you, Will McDonald. I was gonna say thought Jermaine Johnson got traded, but gives them another edge rusher to put in their head coach's defensive system. Allows them to like kind of be more creative with the plays they call on defense.
I like it. And now we're back to the Patriots, who move back a couple of picks. And I am going to select Zion Young. I think he's somebody who could hear his name called in the first round. I really wouldn't be surprised to see that. Productive player and just adds to that defense. I think that Vrabel, their defense should be their identity. I know Drake May is great. He's excellent. The Giants tried to go get him. But even if you have a franchise quarterback, edge rushers never lose value. So adding him to that team is going to be a help, I think. And I think he's got a lot of upside.
I agree. It helps that defense and Vrabel's defense and pass rushing men up front. And now we have the Tennessee Titans, who I think are running to the board right now, and they are going to select Caleb Lomo, left tackle from Utah. And I'm just trying to think who they traded back with Washington with their first pick, and they went. I'm trying to find. They went David Bailey. No, sorry, I was thinking wrong team. I was thinking of the Commanders and Cardinals. David Bailey with their first pick, so I think they upgrade their offensive line here and go with Caleb Lomo to help Cam Ward develop more and give him more time.
It's a good pick. I think offensive line is going to be one of their, as long as the value's there, they'll be one of their first couple selections. There's been a lot more talk about why aren't people projecting like Malinois at 4? If he's worthy of 3 or 5, why not 4? I know who's J.C. Latham, maybe?
I think they
right
moved
tackle?
him to right. Yeah, they moved him to right tackle.
I feel like I've heard some stuff about one of their tackles moving to guard, so they might need a tackle. So this gives them versatility. Lomu, primarily a tackle, but I think he also has some flexibility. So I think they can kind of go into camp and see who plays best where. And now we've got the Raiders back after selecting their franchise quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. And I am going to have them select Max Ionicher.
Damn it.
Colton Miller is getting up there. And I think their right tackle is like DJ Glaze. I think he's like hit or miss. So I think bringing a young guy to compete with him in camp. And if Ionicher beats him out, you go with the young guy. But if not, he can develop a little bit as well. And maybe he's the eventual successor to Miller. So it gives them some more options in the immediate and the long term.
Nice, I like that pick, and I'm just wish that he would have been there for my pick as the Giants, but with the New York Giants, we went with Caleb Downs and Casey Concepcion in the first round after trading away Sexy Dexy and trading back a few picks with the New Orleans Saints. So now I'm going to give them. I'm going to give them C.J. Allen, linebacker, Georgia. I think they need to upgrade that linebacker position, and C.J. Allen being there, I think I've seen a couple of mock drafts where he's gone as high in like the early to mid 20s, so him being available here to upgrade that linebacker position. And we know that Ray Lewis was a part of the Harbaugh's defense in Baltimore, so he can start to try to replicate that as much as he can with Allen, hopefully.
I like that pick a lot. I love CJ Allen. I think He doesn't have like crazy athletic testing, but I don't care about that, especially not at middle linebacker. He's instinctive. I think he gets to the ball, and putting him, it gives the Giants options because it seems clear Tremaine Edmonds is going to start in the middle, but the other linebacker right now would be Micah McFadden, but he's coming off a season ending injury and has never been. He's a good player. He gets a lot of tackles. He's an effort guy, but he's not a guy I want to drop into coverage a lot. He's not a guy I really even want to like lock in as a part of the future. He's a good role player, I think. But bringing in CJ Allen, he doesn't have to start right away. But if he plays up to that and he takes the Harbaugh system quickly, or it won't be Harbaugh's system, it'll be what is it, Wilson, Denard Wilson, our defensive coordinator.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
So I
Let
like
me
that
look
pick
at
a
it.
lot.
Thank you, thank you.
And the Texans, who previously selected Caden McDonald, two guards. I'm definitely looking at them. Linebacker, I really like Jacob Rodriguez. Like a lot. Maybe even more than I like CJ Allen. So it's a matter of I'm going to do the safe thing, and I am going to give them Emmanuel Pregnon. He can play
Nice.
either guard position, and I would have loved if the Giants took him. I think he's a player who his window starts as early as like the Steelers potentially. So getting him at 38 is good value, probably more realistic value, but I could see him going in the 20s.
I like that pick. It helps boost the defensive line, the interior offensive line, and allows them to protect TJ Stroud some more. Now I have a trade happening. I'm going to have the Cleveland Browns trade with the Cincinnati Bengals. I am going to have the Bengals give 2.41, 6.199, and then hold on one second. And then their 6th and 7th round pick in 2027 to trade up those two spots. And then with the 39th overall pick, I'm going to have the Cincinnati Bengals select Chase Bizantis, interior offensive line from Texas A&M. I think that Kansas City would consider going to an interior offensive line here potentially, just because I don't know who their guards are at the moment. So I think Cincinnati looks at that and like, yeah, let's just give up some day 3 picks to ensure that we get the guy that we want with Bazantes from A&M and help protect Burrow some more.
I like it. That's another guy who I've seen him mocked in the first at the end. So good value there. It's funny to me how guards get like devalued, but then they are getting top of the market money when they hit the market. So eventually guys are going to start getting drafted earlier if you're just going to have to pay them top of the market anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So the Chiefs are up and they have taken TJ Parker and Mansour Delane, a good haul for the defense so far. Wide receiver, tight end, safety. I am going to go with Eli Stowers.
Nice.
Travis Swift is getting older, and we don't know how long he'll be there. He signed some weird deal where it's like multi-years, but it's really like a year to year.
Yeah.
So I think bringing in Stowers, he's also Kelsey has had injury issues, and if you would play him less, I assume that allows him to stay healthier the later he gets in his career. So Eli Stowers adds to that offense.
I like that pick. I like that pick. And at pick 41, after trading back, I'm going to have the Bengals select Chris Johnson, corner from San Diego State. They had drastically improved their defense in last year's draft with the Defensive Rookie of the Year. They have Myles Garrett, so I think they continue to improve that defense by going with Chris Johnson here.
Great pick. Chris Johnson, like I said earlier, somebody who has started to really rise up mocks. I think I saw him as early as like pick 11 in one and was like, all right, we might be losing the plot a little bit. But like I said, man, there might be, I feel like mock draft season, you do start to create consensus picks from the mocks. Like, so there are going to be players who shoot up the board. And like I said, with the talent of this draft class, it could start earlier than we think with like, oh my God, this guy went that early. So Chris Johnson, a guy that could be as early as 11, apparently, all the way down at 41's great value. And now we have the Saints. Went to number 5 to get Ruben Bain. Love that. And now wide receiver, cornerback. They have the second tier of wide receivers really low ranked, but based on the fact that Tyler Shough is there, Shuck, I think, or it's spelled like Shug. It's, I don't know, but his teammate Chris Bell is here, so bring in a guy with some familiarity with your quarterback. Nice safety blanket aside from Chris Olave, who is a real number one. And I know at the beginning of the offseason there was some thought he could be traded, but seems like New Orleans has made it clear that that won't be the case. So they got Chris Bell here as a nice number 2 who can make Tyler Shough a little more comfortable.
Nice selection, nice selection. At pick 43, we have the Miami Dolphins, who went with Caleb Lone, Spencer Fano, and Colton Hurd in the first round. So I'm going to have them, seeing that wide receivers are starting to go, I'm going to have them select Chris Brazel, wide receiver from Tennessee. They traded away Jalen Waddle. They released Tyreek Hill. So they basically have your grandma playing wide receiver for them at this point. So let's have them get a wide receiver here, and who could help them with what's his name? With the quarterback they brought in from Green, Malik Willis, and help basically so they don't have to always rely on the running game. They could do some RPO options.
That's a good pick. Big athletic guy. I feel like I like him going to Miami where he could, I don't think he'll get buried in the depth chart. He's going to get opportunities. So it's better for a guy like that who is a little raw to go somewhere where he can kind of go through it, go through those rookie bumps. And I think the Dolphins are going to be a team that, man, we'll see what's going to happen with them. I like the guys they brought in. Before Harbaugh became an option, Hafley was one of my preferred options for the Giants. So I like the guys they brought in. And I kind of lean to the idea that the Dolphins might win a few games this year. They won't be in like wild card contention, but 6 wins, why not? I think that with the speed that they're building up on that offense, it could be really fun to watch. But doing a pick like that further allows guys to develop. I will talk about the Jets. They are back on the board. They have selected Cassius Howell, Omar Cooper Jr., and Arvell Reese. I like doubling down at the edge. I heard one mock draft recently talking about how they could, at 16, maybe add another pass rusher, and that would be awesome. Take the guy you think is best, And adding Reese and Howell to that defense is definitely going to help a lot. So now I I'm just going to go best player available on the board and say that it is Caleb Banks. I feel like he'll get his name called before this pick, and just adding to a defensive line that traded away Quinnen Williams, so they're kind of rebuilding that position group, and bringing in a guy like Caleb Banks is a good place to go with it.
That's a nice pick. I was going to tell you he was in a little bit of a free fall. It seems
Yeah,
like with like the concerns he has, so I think that's a good pickup here at 44 for the Jets. So
high upside.
now we have the Baltimore Ravens at 45. Now I'm going to have them go with Brandon, however you say his last, Brendan
Decent.
Sice. Thank you, from South Carolina. Helps them boost the back end of their defense, put alongside Hamilton as like a corner, like a man-to-man type or zone situation guy.
A good pick. I think they could go corner in the first as well if one of the guys fall there. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a pick. Now we've got the Buccaneers up, who you made a spicy first round selection when you went with wide receiver Jordan Tyson, and I love the pick. And a team that needs linebacker is getting one of my favorite players in this draft, in Jacob Rodriguez. I think his sideline to sideline speed, his his hands with his previous corner experience, I think he's going to be a guy that definitely succeeds in the league. So I like Rodriguez a lot to the Bucks.
That's a nice pick. That's a nice pick. And now we have the Indianapolis Colts, who are making their first pick of the draft after trading for Sauce Gardner. And they have a ton of needs. I'm going to have them go with Malachi Lawrence, edge from UCF. I mean, I think they could also consider receiver here, but after extending Alec Pierce, I think it's still a need, but not as pressing as their pass rush is.
I agree. I like that pick a lot. I think Malachi Lawrence, another guy who his window starts in like the 20s, maybe even the late teens, depending on who values him a certain way. But he's somebody that I hear a lot of the scouting world guys really like. So that's a great pick at 47. Now we are at the Atlanta Falcons, another team with their first pick of the draft because the James Pierce situation, and he may never play another snap in the NFL. So was that worth it? Character concerns matter. Wide receiver, cornerback. I think I took Lee Hunter last time I had them. But Jeremy Bernard's still here? Yes, he is. I'm going to go Jeremy Bernard from Alabama. I like him a lot. I think he's a reliable guy. He might not have like a lot of flashy big plays, but I just think he'll be a consistent, reliable wide receiver right away. So bringing him in for Stefanski and whichever lefty quarterback gets the starting job. So I think that is a solid pick to add to Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and everything else they have on offense.
Nice pick. Nice pick. And now we have the Minnesota Vikings, who have their first pick after mocking for Dexter Lawrence in with their first pick at 18.
Destroy me in the comments. Give me all of your hate, Vikings fans.
But here, I mean, there's not. Oh boy, I'm gonna have them go with. Give me all the hate, Vikings fans, but I'm gonna have them go with D'Angelo Pons, corner from Indiana. I know people have been like lower on him just because of his size, but I think that the way he played at Indiana showed that he could go up against some of the better receivers and tight ends and offensive guys. So I think it's a good pick. Now, around the range of where I could realistically see him starting to go. I've heard as early as like early second, but I feel like this is more realistic, to be honest.
I like the signing or the draft pick a lot. I like Pons. I don't care that he's small. He's a dog. He's got, I think it was Trevor Sikkema that said it. He was like, this is a guy who, no matter how many times he gets beat, he every play has the belief that he is better than the wide receiver and is going to attack him like a dog every time. Even if it's one of the best players in the league, he is still that kind of a just gritty player. And the NFC North is a gritty division. So adding Dexter Lawrence and now D'Angelo Pons, that defense is going to be exciting to watch. And the Detroit Lions are back up after having
The
selected
guard from
Vega
Oregon in the
Iguane.
first round, or Penn
Love
State,
that
yeah.
pick. The ultimate Dan Campbell guy. And I am looking at the pass rushers here. I'm going to go Gabe Yakis from Illinois. I think he's a little bigger, and I feel like that is going to better fit what the Lions do. I like his fit in Detroit a little bit better. And I honestly don't know a ton about R. Mason Thomas, but this is the range I see him going in as well. Gabe is another one of those players. I've heard a lot about him in the same way that I've heard about Malachi Lawrence, that he'll be another guy that might surprise people. So another, I feel like both picks, Vega and then Yakis, feel like Lions guys. So
Nice
sticking to the
selection.
identity.
I like that selection. And now we have the Carolina Panthers, who went with Kenyon Sadiq in round one. And so now I'm going to give them AJ Hall, safety from LSU. I think that they need to improve the back end of their defense, but especially the safety position. So they start that process by selecting Halsey, however you say
Yeah.
his name, from LSU.
I love the pick. Halsey's one of my favorite players in the draft. I feel like if somebody decided he was an early second round pick, that would not be a bad choice. I think he's going to be a playmaker wherever he goes. And the Panthers are definitely a team. They've been mocked safety in the first round sometimes. So they're thrilled that they came away with a good guy in the second round as well here. And now we've got the Green Bay Packers, another team who didn't have a first round pick. And that is because they acquired Micah Parsons, who had a pretty bad injury, unfortunately, and really derailed the crazy start they had to their season. And they lost Rashawn Gary as well. Cornerback, D-line. I would never sleep on the Packers taking offensive line with how they like to have their guys there. And Rutledge is a guy who, when Peter Schrager had him mocked in the first round, my jaw hit the ground. That was kind of crazy. But I'm not going to go there. I am going to go with Christian Miller. I just almost touched my laptop screen like it was a touch screen. It's not a touch screen, yo. Christian Miller getting added to that defense. He's a great run stopping defensive tackle. Another guy, I think, top of the second round upside. And just feels like a Green Bay. I keep talking about this when guys go to the NFC North, but it's the NFC North. You're going to need big, aggressive guys, and Christian Miller fits the bill.
Nice selection. Nice selection. Now we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who went with Emmanuel McNeil Warren with their first pick. And so I'm going to have them. Who do I want to have them go with? I'm going to have them go with Kalen Rutledge, interior offensive line, Georgia Tech. I think they need to improve that O-line overall, but I feel like Rutledge is the best available overall lineman, and it boosts the interior to help the run game with whoever their running backs are going to be. And I don't think receiver is a big need because they got Pittman and DK Metcalf. who knows that quarterback, but there's no quarterback worth selecting here, in my opinion. So they go with beefing up the O line to try to set up for future years.
I like that pick a lot. Feels like a Steelers kind of pick. We have the Philadelphia Eagles, who you had select Blake Miller, a pick I liked a lot. Edge, interior, safety, tight end. I'm going to go with R. Mason Thomas. Get another pass rusher added to that team. Feel like Philly always, it's another one of those places where I'd want to be drafted if I were a front seven player, because everybody seemingly gets maximized when they go to Philly. So another guy
Nice pick.
steps in, because I think they lost the guy that went to the Panthers, Jalen Phillips. So bring in another guy who can contribute on the defensive line.
Nice pick. I like it. If he had fallen to the Chargers, I think he could have gone there. But excuse me, since he didn't, I am going to have the LA Chargers select Anthony Hill Jr., linebacker from Texas. I think the value is just too good at this point for them to pass up. And you basically have a plug and play linebacker going to Harbaugh's defense out in LA and basically improving it even more.
I like that pick a lot, adding to, I think I had them take Peter Woods, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's a lot to the defense. That's going to help against the run. Keeps the defense young when you have some veterans as well. So I like that a lot. And now we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, another one of those teams I think will be in on Dexter, especially if the draft value goes down from a first rounder to a second rounder. But I am not a fan of that idea. I would rather let Dex sit than not get a first round pick for him. So, but that's besides the point. For the Jaguars, defensive line and linebacker, I'm going to go Derek Moore from Michigan, the pass rusher. I like Derek Moore a lot. I feel like I think he's got translatable skills that are going to help him early. And I feel like Jacksonville getting after the quarterback is always a premium. And I know they have Josh Hines Allen, but after that, having more depth is always going to help. And Derek Moore is a really good player coming out of Michigan.
Nice pick. I think they could have considered Lee Hunter there as well, but I think Moore is a nice pick. Now we have the Chicago Bears, who went with Caden Proctor with their first round pick. And now I'm going to give them. Let me just scroll down the big board here. I'm going to have them take Dominique Orange, defensive line from Iowa State. I think they need to improve their run defense a little bit, as we kind of saw against the Rams. So I think he could help. He could help them a lot there. So, oh damn it! I didn't even totally forgot about Lee Hunter.
It's okay. Big Citrus is going to be a well-drafted player as well. I think he's a really good player. I think this is his range. So I don't think it's a bad pick at all. Big Citrus. I mean, I love the name. Big Citrus. Come on. He's going to be wearing orange. It just makes sense. So now we've got the 49ers back up after they took Keldrick Folk, a pick that I love. A lot of talent on the board right here. I'm wondering if anybody might want to get ahead of Houston to take Jadarian Price, because he will be drafted there if he goes there. You're picking there, but I like Price a lot. And didn't they lose somebody? Joe Mixon, I don't think he's looked at as healthy at this point. So I think they would love him, and I'm wondering if somebody would want to move up for price ahead of him. So I am going to have. I feel like anytime I make a trade, it is hotly contested by fan bases. I'm going to have the Seahawks move up from the end of the round, moving up. No, never mind. They don't have enough capital, and it's a division opponent. So as much as they'd like to move up, I don't think the Niners would help them out there. And I'm going to have the Niners take Jennings Dunker, actually. Versatile offensive lineman, can play tackle or guard, and might not have to play right away, but I know there's this weird stuff going on with Trent Williams' contract. So if that gets prolonged into camp and maybe even the preseason, Dunker could see himself getting some significant snaps.
I love that pick. I was going to say, I know offensive tackle was a consideration in round 1 for San Francisco, so I think it's a great value for them to get Jennings Dunker here at 58. Now we have the Houston Texans who got what's his name? Knuckles.
McDonald.
No, I mean, yeah, McDonald and Pragnon, and then I also know they traded for David Montgomery in the offseason.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
But I don't think that discriminates them from taking Jadarian Price per se. But
he's a different style back than Montgomery, so it gives them another kind of thunder and lightning, which is what Montgomery's coming from.
You know what? F it. I'm going to have them go Jadarian Price from Notre Dame. Especially with, as you said, with who knows what Mixon is happening to Mixon. And I think they could use another running back to pair with Montgomery, even though he might not be happy about it.
Right. I still think Montgomery probably ends up like the guy getting the more first and second down kind of snaps, but Price brings in a different kind of player. He's more of a like kind of scat back, where Montgomery's more of the thunder to the thunder and lightning. I like that pick a lot. I think Price could go as early as Seattle at 32 and nobody would be surprised. So I thought a couple times about somebody maybe moving up for him, but it's a running back. I don't know that anybody is going to value the number 2 running back in a historically weak running back class. So the Texans remain patient and reap the rewards with a great player in Jadarian Price. And now we have the Bears back up. The Bears have come away with Caden Proctor and Big Citrus. And now they are going to select this is an interesting pick. There's not necessarily a safety I like at this point. Maybe Kamari Ramsey, but the fact that I'm saying maybe in that voice tone tells me that it's a reach. Call me crazy. I like Keontae Scott a lot at cornerback coming out of Miami. He makes a real difference as a cornerback with his run defense. He's really aggressive around the line of scrimmage, really nose to the ball kind of guy. And I think that would help the Bears. I know they've got some other guys at corner, but Scott can play nickel. I think he has a lot of versatility that way. And I just like the Bears continuing to stock up on defense if possible.
Nice pick. And at pick 61, we had the Rams go with Mekhi Lemon at 13. So here, I'm going to have them take Jake Golday, linebacker, Cincinnati. Helps boost the middle of the field a little bit more and helps fill a big position of need, in my opinion.
I like that pick a lot. We're at Denver now, another team without a first because they brought in Jalen Waddle. I feel like when you're this good of a team, you have the luxury of going best player available. So I am considering Lee Hunter here. But I also really like Josiah Trotter. And I feel like, I don't know, I could see him as a Denver Bronco as like that super aggressive linebacker. So I'm between those two players here. I think I am going to go with best player available and take Lee Hunter.
Nice.
I think the best teams, best player available is a safe thing to do, and good front offices often do that. And I do consider the Broncos one of those teams with everything they brought in when the Walmart people bought them or whatever happened there.
Nice.
Now
So
we've got the Patriots up.
I'm going to have a trade happen. I'm going to have the Philadelphia Eagles trade A.J. Brown to the New England Patriots for a pick. You'd scroll down for A.J. Brown for pick 2.63 and a 2027 third round pick. And accept that one. And with the 63rd overall pick, I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Zachariah Branch, wide receiver from Georgia. And the Eagles get the troublemaker, or a pain in their side, I should say, out off the team. And they get 2 day 2 picks. And they get the best receiver available with the pick for this year.
I love that. I think the Patriots would be thrilled that they didn't have to give up a first, so it's good value there. And I also love Zachariah Branch going to Philly because he is a speed demon. Having him and Devonta Smith, that is still a really fun wide receiver room. And like you said, they also got another pick next year in what is vaunted as an incredibly talented draft. And now, with the final pick of our mock draft today, we have the Seattle Seahawks, who selected Avion Terrell at the end of the first. They are devastated they couldn't get Jadarian Price, but San Francisco said, up yours. And I am going to have them select. I'm looking at Dennis Sutton, maybe. I like Connor Liu, but I'm not. They did go with Gray Zabel last year, so I don't know what their interior exactly looks like. Well, wide receivers are on the board. Antonio Williams and Fields I like. I do like Romello Height there. I'm going to go with Dennis Sutton. I think he feels more like a Mike Macdonald guy. Mike Macdonald coming from, he was the D coordinator in Baltimore, right? So those teams are always kind of bigger guys. And Romello Height is 6'3", 240, which to me and you is large, but compared to NFL players isn't as large. So I could see them deciding to prioritize a pass rusher here.
Very nice.
2 rounds.
For the defense.
That's
a very interesting mock draft with all the trades. Dexter getting traded, AJ getting traded. Trade galore.
The GM of the Chiefs recently said that he felt like it was going to be a very active draft. So this kind of lives up to that. I think that I like the way there were trades in both rounds a little bit. It wasn't all congested to just the top 10. I'm just going to go through these again. We had the Saints move up. We had the Commanders move up. We had the Cowboys move up. We had
the Ravens at 11.
Right, the Ravens went up to get Carnell Tate, which I love. Kind of feels like an Anquan Bolden kind of guy. We had the Giants moving Dexter Lawrence. And I'm going to continue mocking first-round picks for Dex until he doesn't get us a first-round pick, which will devastate me. I might even curse. I might have to come on and pop off in a video freaking out. Then
And
I
then
like
we
the
and
pick
then we
for the
had the
Cardinals.
Cardinals trading up for Ty Simpson at the end of the first to get that 5th-year option, which for quarterbacks is always valuable for the team, so that way they have the extra year to develop or see what's on the tape for them.
Right. I like Caleb Banks going at 44 is great value. I love Jacob Rodriguez to Tampa. Trevor Sycamore would love that one. He's a big Tampa fan and really talks up Jacob Rodriguez. Malachi Lawrence. It's weird where I don't know if it's a matter of this draft class in particular, but it just seems like there's a lot of good second round talent.
Yeah, it's not
All right.
necessarily top heavy, but it's a lot of good value into the second and third rounds, which as a Giants fan, I hope we can trade back from 5 and maybe get an extra day 2 pick with how much value drips into the second and even third rounds.
Yeah, there's a lot of really talented guys left on this board. Connor Liu, Caleb Tiernan, Josiah Trotter, Traden Stukes, Keith Abney, the
Max,
receivers I
yeah.
mentioned, Kyle Lewis. Still a lot of guys left. All right, y'all. So that was the next edition, the second edition of the Ryan and Ryan mock for 2026. What do you think, Ryan? Do we have one more left in us before the mock, before the actual draft, you think?
I could potentially see another mock draft coming your way before the day 1 commences in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Excellent. Maybe we'll do a more predictive one. We went a little bit more this time with what we were feeling. Me and Ryan should be back one more time before next week to give you a predictive mock. So, guys, thank you for hanging out. Ryan, thank you for being here with me, my friend. The
Thank you for
Goose,
having me on.
of course. The Ryans are out.
Hey.
Anytime I have a guest on, they have to do the Goose call.